I am Eric from FlutterFlow. Uh, I'm a technical support engineer, so at FlutterFlow, but I reside in Kenya. So today I'm here to speak about FlutterFlow. As I start, how many here are Flutter engineers? Flutter developers? Okay, just a handful. About FlutterFlow developers? I have gifts. I have gifts. How many are FlutterFlow developers? FlutterFlow developers? Back there. Okay, just a few. So I'll be here to convert some of you from Kotlin, Swift to the FlutterFlow side after you see how easy it is to use, how easy it is to use to build, design, and how fast it is. So as we go on, you guys, some of you came here through, they used the cab, either Bolt or Uber, right? Some of you, either you came here through the cab, used the app, Uber or Bolt. All of these platforms either were built, either was it a framework like FlutterFlow that was built and then generated to web, or it was built completely in mobile. So today I'm going to show you some of the benefits that you can get while using FlutterFlow. So for instance, this is a Tinder app. I think a number of you have seen the design of Tinder. So if you can see, it may look as complicated as it is, but fun fact, this is just using pretty much the main design is using the swipeable widget. And all of other widgets are made on top of it. You get the image, icons, buttons, and that. And all this you get to build by just drag and dropping icons and widgets and components. So I'm a Flutter engineer before I started using FlutterFlow. And fun fact that I can tell, this could have taken me quite some time to build. But with FlutterFlow, roughly 3 to 4 minutes, you'll come up with a prototype that you can share with this. So this is just one of the showcasing applications that you could build in FlutterFlow. So my name is Eric, come from Kenya, greatest rival of Nigeria on Twitter. So today I'm going to talk about empowering development at scale with FlutterFlow. So FlutterFlow is built for everyone. Either you're a solo engineer, either you're an agency with a big team, or actually a big corporation. So FlutterFlow has been designed to allow everyone, like from the basic level of development, someone who has not built an application traditionally before, someone who can actually build very complicated applications. So this is the main dashboard of FlutterFlow. You get, I hope you can see my slides. You get a nice workbench with a property side and where you can see your widget tree. So a widget tree is the combination of all the widgets, narrowing down nested widgets, the ones that are building your application. So FlutterFlow. So we have guys that will say it's a no-code platform, but at FlutterFlow we love to call it a visual development platform. So pretty much an IDE that way you don't have to write the code, but you actually drag and drop the code to the editor. So most of the common elements, layout, widget, everything is a widget in Flutter. So you get to find it in the property section of FlutterFlow. So we have columns, images, stacks, pretty much every component, every widget that you could build in the normal traditional development cycle in FlutterFlow. So for instance, this is just a normal, someone building, they are making changes to a text field, adding design, colors, themes, and all that. So all this is done under one platform. So you get FlutterFlow, you have all your integrations there, you have all your designs. You can actually import some of the designs from Figma to FlutterFlow, all the colors in it. But one thing that at the moment the engineering team is still working on is actually converting your Figma design to an actual page. So at the moment, currently, you can actually import the designs, the topography, the fonts, and all that, and the colors, and make changes on the fly, test them on the fly. Your product team, your boss will get to see them and recommend changes as you're there. So this is just a short illustration on how FlutterFlow does work. As you can see, changing colors, themes, and all that. So for Flutter engineers, KMM developers, Swift UI engineers. So I've tried out most of those platforms, and I settled with FlutterFlow. So with reasons why. So back in Kenya, it's always a tug of war between guys that build in Flutter and in Kotlin, and then in FlutterFlow and in Swift UI. So, but the point is not which one is the best, it's which one is the best tool to get the work done. You are in an organization, they need a prototype as fast as possible. They need, hey, you have 10 minutes, can you come up with an MVC or a POC that you could show to a production client? So that's where the tooling comes in. Which one will you use to get a tooling faster? Which one will you use a tooling that can go to the market with faster? Not just a basic tool, POC, something that can be used by large numbers of people. Fun fact, the entire FlutterFlow platform is built using Flutter. So every code base, every generation, every widget you see there, that is Flutter, pure Flutter code. So even the workbench, the canvas, the AI generation tooling, and also the backend is written in Dart. So FlutterFlow is used to build FlutterFlow. So pretty much fun fact about it. So get pretty much all the widgets that you could get as a Flutter engineer, normal Flutter engineer. Columns, images, buttons, all the most basic components that you'll get to use. So for instance, this is a note-taking application. So you have, as a normal Flutter developer, you come and say, hey, I have a column, I have an image. The column has a text field, a row. This row has two text fields, one on the left, one on the right, another column with a button. So this is just a normal wireframing that you could get from a product or a design engineer. They'll be like, hey, can we get this done in the next few minutes? Then you drag and drop using FlutterFlow, create an app, you get the normal canvas template, drag and drop column, a widget, a row, a text field, another column with a button. And then as you continue building, the application takes style, takes the shape that is intended to. Then you can see we have a pretty much nice design coming in. So we have the design built in, but FlutterFlow generally is not about the user design. So we want an application that can be shipped, an application that can be used by users, whichever maybe they are normal customers, users, or other developers. The same way FlutterFlow is built for developers. So you get a wide range of actions. So actions are most basically the functionality that you could have added to a button, on tap, on drag, on pan, and all that stuff. So in FlutterFlow, it comes with a number of them, pretty much 100 plus actions. So this depends on the widget that you want to add the event to. So for instance, it's a map. We have an on-move marker action. You get to move the marker or on-tap marker action, then you get the paper showing. For a button, you can get on-tap, on-double-tap, on long press, and all that stuff. So this Note AI app, we want to add a number of activities or events when someone gets started. So on the right side, I'm facing the screen, so it's on the right side of the workbench. You get the action flow editor. So in the action flow editor, that's where you get to define all the events that you want them to be invoked in a specific widget. So in our get started button, you have two actions, and then this is the flow. So one thing about FlutterFlow, you get to see an overview of all the actions that are in a specific button or a widget that you're invoking the action. So in this specific one, our Note AI app, we have the first action. It will upload all the media files, the specific media files that is selected to Firebase, and then make a backend call to OpenAI, get the generated response, and then map it to upstate. So FlutterFlow in it's come built in to manage all your state in one place. So you don't have to worry about block, provider, scope model, if anyone here still uses scope model, or GetX. So everything is managed within the same platform. So I think the only limitation that comes to with FlutterFlow is only imagination. So the more you think, the more you imagine, I think, or the limited you imagine, the limited you are to building. So that's more on actions. So with the recent update, you get to see an updated action flow editor where you get to change all the event triggers. Is that on tap? Is that a double tap or a long press? So, and then all the actions that follow the action. So this, you can change an action, make it to block and wait for the other's action to finish, or let them flow and as they trigger parallelly. So that was that. So how about errors? So in most cases as engineers or developers, we tend to make, yes, errors will always be there. We are human and errors will always be there. So FlutterFlow comes with its onboard analyzer to catch errors that will be shown pretty much on the right panel in the error log. So if you have warnings and errors, so warnings are pretty much suggestions where you're building your product, but you're not following the best practice and the best principles of development. So you'll get the warnings and the suggestions there. You also get an optimization panel where FlutterFlow AI will suggest you, hey, you have 2 nested scrollable widgets. Can you decouple that and ensure that you set that correctly? So, so we have a number of integration that you can have while building FlutterFlow. So as a team, you could want to add a third-party payment gateway or a payment protocol. So it come up with a number of integrations onboarded. We have payment integrations, we have cloud functions in case you want to have a trigger in Firebase, push notification, web publishing, Play Store, and a multitude number of integrations that we have in FlutterFlow. So before, as I did mention, I'm a Flutter engineer, I could take, I know some of you will bash me for this, I could take 3 days to get a review sent by the product team, make changes, send back, get another review, make changes, send back. So a week of reviews and changes, that's a lot of time wasted because the faster you reach the market, the faster you get the customers. So with FlutterFlow comes with a number of preview features. We get the project preview, we get the test run preview, we get the run mode preview. So for test run preview, these are done if you're a FlutterFlow developer, you get to, it's called hot reload. When you're building, your application is changing as you're building. So as you're building, all the changes are being streamed directly to the web page. So you have your product manager saying, hey, can you change this in the login page? You take 3 or 4 days, send it back. They'll be like, hey, you added the wrong color. You go back, build. I know there are pipelines that could assist you do it much faster. But with the FlutterFlow, you get a very fast preview. You can send them a link, hey, have a look at this, and let me know what you think. Because the previews, so we have the previews, the test run mode, and test and run mode. Previews are not, will not bear any functionality, but they'll have the design that maybe your design team provided. Test and run mode have the functionality on board. They could test it on web, and then send their feedback. So with FlutterFlow, you get to do that as fast as possible, and then make your product team happy. So, yep. And then, as a FlutterFlow developer, probably some of you are asking, do I have access to the code? Can I edit the code that I get generated in FlutterFlow? So as I did mention, FlutterFlow itself is built on top of FlutterFlow. And FlutterFlow is written in Flutter and Dart. So any code that your app is built on, generated, is pure Flutter. So you can get the code, make changes, and then deploy it. So FlutterFlow is built on Flutter. The same code that you get that is built in FlutterFlow is what you'll get there. So you get to check build, as FlutterFlow does say it, one code base for all platforms. So you get for desktop, web, and mobile. So I know desktop is still on beta for some of, I think, Windows and Mac, and alpha in Linux. So it will take time before like you could generate code for pretty much the desktop. Because the plugins that we add to the product, we need to ensure that it will run on this specific version of Linux, on Windows, or Mac. So we have a playground that I could show FlutterFlow in action. We have a playground at playground.flutterflow.io. I think this is public. You can try this and then see the code being generated on the fly. So for instance, we have a normal page, a canvas page, with, just a second, with a green circle in the center. So it's a container that has been added properties to make it a circle. So as you can see, the code itself is the same that you will write in normal Flutter code, unless you have it more abstracted in smaller components, which can also do in FlutterFlow by extracting some of the widgets into small components and then importing them in the same page. So we get to add all of them in the same space. So custom code. Someone will ask, yes, I have this idea, and I'm trying to, let's say, build a custom painter or a render object, a specific kind of design. So how can I do that? So FlutterFlow comes with an onboard editor where you can write your own custom code, a stateful widget, stateless widget, custom action, or on custom function. So we have a difference between the custom functions and the custom actions. The custom actions are their future async action, while the functions you can call them anywhere. So here's an example of a project that we are using a custom action in an action chain. So we have the previous application, the Note app that I was showing. We have upload media to Firebase, make an API call, and all these are onboarded actions. So you just add the actions, and then check the status, and then we are adding a custom function rather to map the response that you're getting and sending back to the action. So how does it look like in the code? So I hope you can see it very well. I know it's super blurry. So this is a custom function. You have data type that is passed in, a return type of data type, and a define argument of type string. So someone could ask if I want to define my own data types, my own data classes. So everything comes set for you. You can have, let's say, I have GDG Lagos data class. In this data class, I want to have name, age, and all that stuff. So that's the normal data type that you can have, the custom data types you want to have onboarded in Flutter. But we have all the other primitive data types, strings, numbers, lat and long, these are longitude and latitudes. And you can return all them from the action, from the function, but you cannot return a normal return type value argument from a widget, because that you are rendering a normal widget. So apart from that, you are writing your code on board on FlutterFlow. So someone will ask, can I write this locally and push it directly to FlutterFlow? Yes. On FlutterFlow 5.0, we have the VS Code extension that you could add on your VS Code editor, and then sign into FlutterFlow with the CLI. And then every code, the custom function, to be precise, custom function, custom actions, and custom widgets, they can be synced. It's a bidirectional call from the server to your VS Code, and VS Code to the server. Someone will ask, can I make changes on the build Gradle file? Not yet. So the supported bidirectional call by the VS Code is only for the custom code. So you can use the onboard language server in VS Code to make the analysis for you, changes for you, and then push them to FlutterFlow. Because the reason being, we have had a number of cases where the onboard editor does not take some time to make the analysis, which is not so good. The user experience was good. So, but with the VS Code extension makes that better and simple. Now I have my code, I have a team, we're building different features at different times. So FlutterFlow also added branching. So I'm building the main branch. Let's say the boss is building the main branch. Eric, is building a feature, let's say login feature. Someone else is building a payment, the payment gateway. So get to create branches, and anyone that assigned to those branches have their own role for that. So I'm building login feature, I get to build it, merge it to main. Someone else is building the payment gateway feature, they get to add it. So I wish the network could be so good so that I could show all of that here. More of less talk, more of action, but the Wi-Fi is playing games on me. So yeah, that's on branching, and sometimes you get conflicts. Sometimes you get conflict in your branches, and you want to check the difference. So FlutterFlow comes onboarded with a merging, a rebase feature where you can check conflicts, check all conflicts allowed, deny conflict, reject rather, and then merge them if they are fit for that. Okay, can you hear me, guys? Okay, perfect. So that's too much on the code. So how about databases? So at the moment, we have around three integration, on-click integration for databases. So we have Firebase, Supabase, and SQLite. SQLite is the local database for you folks. So, anyone knows Firebase? Who don't know Firebase? That should be the right question. Anyone who hasn't used Firebase? Anyone who hasn't used Supabase? Okay, anyone who has used Supabase? A handful. Firebase, amazing. SQLite, Postgres, MySQL. Okay, thank you. So for quicker and faster integration, we do have Firebase and Supabase on board that helps you to connect them faster. So most of them are, for instance, the Supabase we require to have an on key and I think the database URL, and then just those two you can import all the rows and see them in the dashboard. And then we have the actions flow where you can search, hey, I want to log in using Supabase. I want to send a row update using Supabase. So all of the code that you would have written, all the try catches, all the update, await and stuff, all those is being handled by FlutterFlow. So with a number of more integrations, so we have GitHub, OneSignal, Algolia, Revenue Card, OpenAI, Gemini enabled in the integrations. So for GitHub, you can send all the code that you have generated in FlutterFlow to GitHub. And then you can also deploy all the code in GitHub through FlutterFlow to App Store and Play Store. So in some cases where you have, this is just a trick that we use, where you have some third-party plugins that you want to make changes to the build Gradle. Let's say you want to add, let's say Android manifest. You want to add a service tag that maybe you have a foreground, background service that you need to declare in the Android manifest, and you cannot add it in FlutterFlow. So you push the code to GitHub, make the changes in Android manifest, and then in FlutterFlow say, hey, I want you to deploy this application from GitHub. So once you have set up all the deployment service account files, keys in FlutterFlow, it will handle that for you. So we use Code Magic that supports all the deployment from GitHub to all the stores, from FlutterFlow to the stores. So you have map integration, Supabase, Stripe for payments, Gemini, and Firebase, and a handful of other integrations. And now, any questions? There is a question over there. Sure. Yeah.
Good morning once again. Thank you for your presentation. 2 questions. First, the database, yes, you said Firebase, but just to be clear, Firebase only?
Sorry?
Is it Firebase only?
Not Firebase only. Okay, I'll give you more details. Do you have follow-up questions on that?
Then the second question is, you mentioned somewhat of a backward, can I say a backward integration? So what I mean is that you design the application, and from there you can generate the code, right? And then you can export it. Okay, those were what I just wanted to clarify.
So on the second question, the format of the code imported, and you can generate it. What is the question? I did not get it.
So I wanted to clarify the functionality of being able to export the generated code. Then I wanted to clarify again about the database as for the first question.
Okay, sure. So we don't have Firebase only. So we have Firebase, Supabase, and SQLite. So Firebase is that you have one-click integration. It's already enabled in the platform for you. So you just need to add the Firebase ID in the Firebase settings, click connect, generate configuration files. These are the Google service file that you get for Android and iOS.plist file. So once you have done that, and there are some prerequisite configuration that you need to set in Firebase that allow FlutterFlow to connect. These are adding Firebase at FlutterFlow to one of the users in a user-sent account, and giving them editor, service account user, and cloud function invoker. So why do you have to give all these permissions? So that same account is the one that will handle cloud function deployments for you. So let's say, for instance, you want to enable Stripe. So Stripe comes with its own cloud function code. So that account will handle that for you. So Firebase, one-click integration. Supabase, also one-click integration once you have the pre-configuration set. So, and on code generation, so we have a section where pretty much on the top right corner of the toolbar, you see, I think it's a closing tag for HTML. Once you click it, you'll see an option, download code, download APK, and then when you click the download code, it's downloaded for you. So FlutterFlow combines all the resources that you have added, and then it generates them for you. So actually, Firebase integration. So for you to integrate Firebase, you have the Firebase settings. I click create account. So we have two options. FlutterFlow can create the account for you, or you can create the account and then pre-configure it in FlutterFlow. So create account. Sorry, that will create your Firebase account for you. So we have also development environments. Before they weren't there, but with Flutter 5.0, you get the development environments. So you can set, I want this to be the production environment, set the key for Firebase production environment, the development, staging, and others. So you won't have to keep on switching the Firebase ID. Also, this happens for Supabase. You can also do that as well. And also, yeah, for Firebase and Supabase. And also for API integration. You can have an API that calls to a staging server, an API that calls to a development server, and an API that calls to a production server. So example of collection schemas. These are a schema on users, where you have variable sets, and then those variable sets are the ones that you use to do variable binding when it comes to once you have loaded the data from Firebase and you want to load it in FlutterFlow. So a bunch of updates have come up with FlutterFlow 5.0. We have libraries. Libraries gives you an ability to reuse some of the most, let's say, crucial features in your application, crucial integration, crucial code. Before we had the Teams code, Teams library for theming, Teams library for APIs, and also console functions. With 5.0, we have this as a standalone feature. So you can use this and import to any other projects that you have within FlutterFlow. And finally, we're in the AI bubble era. So FlutterFlow with 5.0, we have a number of amazing AI features that comes onboarded. So we have page generation, new component generation, sketch to map, and page autocomplete. Magic Cursor is still in staging, so that is not yet available, but you have new page creation. So I hope this one works. I would love to show you that. So in page generation, come and tell it, hey, let me place this. I'm going to create an event page for an event in Lagos. Just a second. Give the AI the details of the page that we want it to generate. It takes its time, think, and it generates it for you. So I hope this does not take a lot of time because of the network. So let's give it some time. So it's not only basically for designing cool apps, being fast for POC or MVPs. For instance, this is a solo engineer. I think there were 3 in the team. They built a Gifty IT app. So it does not mean that FlutterFlow only supports MVPs or POC. You can build a fully fledged application or product using FlutterFlow. We have IC, I think it's IC Bank in India, serving almost 100 million users, and their mobile application is built in FlutterFlow. So FlutterFlow supports solo developers, teams, agencies, and also enterprises. So this is an enterprise called SparkCharge. They're using FlutterFlow to build their application. It's an EV charging mobile network system for their cars rather. So it's not specifically for solo developers, but also for enterprises. Okay, so you can go on FabricFlow, try to design a shirt, and click checkout, and it will be shipped to you. So this also is built in FlutterFlow, and you could try that. So there's no limit building in FlutterFlow. Your only limit is your imagination. So I think the time is over, but you could take that on. So you could visit our booth there. and ask more questions. We have swags, we have stickers, and we have 2 months of FlutterFlow free. Yep. Thank you.